Millions of American soldiers fought across the globe carrying a rifle that history has largely overlooked. General George S. Patton called the M1 Garand the greatest battle implement ever devised. For the infantrymen charging a beachhead, it was the gold standard. The Garand was a heavy wood and steel powerhouse. Fully loaded, it weighed nearly 10 pounds. It was a true battle rifle, built for trading shots across long distances on a traditional front line. But by the late 1930s, the concept of a stationary front line was vanishing. Germany and Japan were proving that the next global conflict would be highly mobile and heavily mechanized. Fighting a war on this scale required a massive logistical machine. To keep the army moving, the U.S. needed to deploy millions of specialists, men who weren't primary infantrymen, but were now operating deep within the reach of the enemy. In this new era of warfare, the people keeping the army functional, radio operators, drivers, engineers, and medics, began to outnumber the soldiers on the front lines. Issuing these specialists an M1 Garand created a physical conflict of interest. A truck driver or a medic already struggling with bulky field radios and heavy supply kits couldn't effectively carry a 10-pound, 44-inch rifle. As a compromise, the military often issued these support troops the standard M1911 pistol as their primary sidearm. While portable, the pistol offered very little protection in a real engagement. Its effective range was short, and hitting a moving target under the stress of an ambush required a level of marksmanship training that most support troops simply didn't receive. This left a gap in the American arsenal, a tactical dead zone. The Army had the heavy, long-range Garand and the lightweight, short-range pistol, but nothing in between to protect the millions of men in the middle. Leaving the majority of a mechanized force without a viable way to defend itself was a risk the U.S. military had to address before entering the conflict. In 1940, the Army requested a completely new weapon, the light rifle. The specifications were demanding. The firearm had to weigh roughly 5 pounds, be compact for vehicle crews, outshoot a pistol at medium range, and be cheap for massive production runs. Multiple companies submitted prototypes, but early designs suffered from repeated structural failures. Engineers found that simply shrinking down a standard rifle mechanism resulted in parts too thin and fragile to handle the pressure of firing. The challenge was to find a mechanical breakthrough that allowed for rifle-like reliability within the weight constraints of a handgun. With the deadline approaching, Winchester repeating arms entered the competition, having spent months refining a different approach to the gas-operated rifle. The effort was led by engineer David Marshall Williams, who was tasked with adapting his previous designs into a lightweight, high-speed prototype. Williams' secret was the short-stroke gas piston. Instead of a long, heavy rod moving the entire action, a small puff of gas tapped a tiny piston that sharply kicked the bolt backward. This high-pressure system didn't require a bulky receiver. Working under extreme pressure, the Winchester team assembled a functional test unit in a matter of days. During Army trials, the design proved to be exactly what the military needed. It was light enough to be carried all day, reliable in the field, and significantly more accurate than any handgun. By utilizing a more efficient way to handle gas pressure, Winchester created an entirely new category of military equipment. In September 1941, the military officially adopted the weapon as the United States Carbine caliber .30 M1. American industry responded with a massive manufacturing effort, ultimately producing over 6 million M1 carbines, more than any other American small arm of the war. The carbine soon became a staple across every theater of the war, carried by paratroopers in the Pacific and patrol units through the ruined streets of Europe. Its utility extended well past 1945, seeing continued frontline service years later during the conflict in Korea. This vast production ensured that the millions of soldiers working behind the scenes now had the means to defend their posts, adding a layer of security to the logistical lines that spanned the globe. Critics often point out that the carbine lacked the long-range punch of the M1 Garand, calling the smaller rifle underpowered. But the carbine provided a medic or a radio operator with enough range and volume of fire to survive a close-quarters encounter at 50 yards, a capability a pistol couldn't match. The M1 carbine remains a testament to the specialized needs of modern war, proving that a weapon's value is measured by how well it fits the specific hands that carry it. It is late 1941. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States is mobilizing millions of troops for a global war. On the ground, a logistical gap quickly emerged. Non-infantry support troops and officers needed a reliable weapon, but the standard-issue M1 Garand weighed nearly 10 pounds, and service pistols lacked the necessary combat range. To fill this tactical void, the Army officially adopted the lightweight M1 carbine. This decision created an immediate manufacturing hurdle. The military now required millions of them. To meet that demand, the U.S. government bypassed traditional gunsmiths. Instead, they drafted civilian manufacturers, tapping into companies that previously produced consumer goods like typewriters and jukeboxes. This requirement for mass production forced an industrial collaboration that eventually made this unconventional firearm the most widely produced American rifle of the war. This diagram illustrates the physical difference between the M1 Garand and M1 carbine. At 5 pounds, the carbine was half the weight. The ballistics also changed. Firing the new .30 carbine round, this bullet produced significantly less recoil, making the weapon easier to fire quickly. It also carried an ammunition advantage. The standard detachable magazine held 15 rounds, giving troops twice the capacity of the Garand before they needed to reload. This combination of a lightweight frame, low recoil, and high capacity satisfied the original military requirement for a defensive support weapon. However, the design was only effective if it could be successfully scaled for a worldwide conflict. A single traditional manufacturer, like Winchester, could not independently meet the Army's requirements. In response, the government launched a cooperative manufacturing program, assigning contracts to 10 different American companies, including IBM and Underwood, that had no prior experience making firearms. Inside these factories, thousands of women entered industrial jobs for the first time, operating machinery around the clock to maintain production speed. To manage this decentralized network, engineers standardized every component. This meant a rifle bolt machined in an automotive plant would slide perfectly into a receiver assembled at a typewriter factory. By the end of World War II, this network of civilian manufacturers had produced over 6.1 million M1 carbines. This output made the carbine the most produced American small arm of the conflict, outstripping even the M1 Garand. As the conflict moved into new global theaters, the carbine evolved from a support tool into an adaptable platform for different combat environments. The M1A1 variant introduced a folding metal stock. This allowed airborne paratroopers to jump with a compact weapon that was more capable than a standard pistol. Later, the M2 variant added a selective fire capability, allowing soldiers to switch to fully automatic fire for close-range combat. The M3 version utilized an early infrared night vision system, which gave soldiers the ability to detect and engage targets in complete darkness. These specialized versions saw action everywhere from the beaches of Normandy to the front lines of the Pacific. The M1 carbine began as a blueprint for jukebox and typewriter factories. It ended the war as a versatile weapon system used across every major theater of the conflict.